EduTrainment Workshops, the insurance industry's leading education and training platform, presents Life Insurance, the entry-level series, the products, the underwriting, and the planning applications to position your practice as the premier provider of insurance products in your community. Get on board, get on track, get to where you're going. And now, your EduTrainer, national insurance columnist, Steve Savant.
Well, welcome everyone. I'm Steve Savant, your EduTrainer and coach today in our series on life insurance. Of course, this is a basic entry course, and we're in week 3, series 11 through 16, and we call this the foundations of life insurance. And this episode today is creating the need for life insurance in a planning idea. Now, before we get started, I wanted to again remind you that if you haven't went out to Lincoln Benefits site, we want you to go ahead and download their Eclipse software, because in the weeks to come, we're going to be on there. We want to have you have this on your computer so that you can go page for page with us. Again, just go to the Run Installer, download Lincoln. Why are we using Lincoln Benefit? Well, they are our sponsor, but we actually voted them as the easiest software to use. It's very user-friendly, and it'll really help you if you're coming into our business for the first time. This is an excellent tool. So hop out to www.lblsales.com/ETW. ETW, that's www.lblsales.com/ETW. And also, we're giving away for all of our attendees our life manual, including vocabulary. Just go ahead and request it at thebiz@brokersalliance.com. That's THEBIZ@brokersalliance.com, thebiz@brokersalliance.com. Well, today we're talking about creating the need, or to walk through it with your client. And I call this the puzzle. And by the way, a little side note, a little story on a puzzle. I've noticed that if you're a puzzle person like I used to be when I was a young man, I used to always take the edges first. I would frame the argument first. And part of talking about or developing the need for life insurance or any other thing that you're trying to show, I want to develop the need by framing the argument. So what I first do is I always look at the boundaries. What am I trying to control? What area am I trying to speak to? So I puzzle that out. I do the edges first. Then I take the things that are easy to find, the real easy stuff, the definition of a puzzle. It shows maybe it's a barn with some cows or whatever, or maybe it's a military site where you have the B-17 sitting in the background. I try to do all that first, because the hardest part, the last part, is always the blue sky. And what I've done here is we formulated some good questions and answers, some basic ideas and protocols to help you walk through and not miss any of these things as you're putting together the puzzle. So when I'm looking at the pieces of the puzzle, I'm looking at cash management, I'm looking at risk management, which is one part of life insurance for indemnification. I'm also looking at any accumulation goals, which life insurance could be used as a supplemental income retirement idea. It could also be accumulated goals and retirement goals, as I mentioned, and estate planning. I may need to protect my estate or to pay with discounted dollars of life insurance. So when I'm looking at this basic idea, I want to be able to put the pieces of the puzzle together, and I want to be able to, step 1, choose your financial planning team. Now, believe it or not, you actually need a quarterback for this, somebody to kind of run interference, collect the people that you're going to need. And it gives you several people that you're going to need, possibly a CPA, an enrolled agent of the IRS for your taxes. You may even want to think about a health agent separate from a life agent. You may want to look at a securities broker and a person who generally does financial planning for a fee. Those all could be part of your team. Now remember, some professionals and producers are multitasking in these areas, and they have several, not only licensed to sell this, but they have the ability to actually craft plans that will help you manage risk management, the area that we're in today. Step 2, you want to develop your own plan. With the help of your team, you can customize. There's basic ideas that we're going to talk about for all this week, but actually, when you get in with your client, you'll be able to customize and tailor their needs specifically, because everybody's got unique issues. So that's our first thing. We want to do. We want to create the need for the planning and try to be able to develop a basic plan. Now, the need for responsible planning. What if you were to die today? Now, we're all going to die. I just don't know if it's going to be today. And because that's one of the axioms of life, I want to be able to protect anybody that will be impacted by my death. If I was to die today, I have to understand I'm really buying life insurance in case of my death. So who are the beneficiaries? Who are the survivors? Who are the people, whether business or family, who will be impacted by my death? And so when I look at this, I never really nobody wants to talk about it. It's an uncomfortable situation, even though it's really part of life. So what I want to do is I want to be able to say, what would happen today? Will my bills be paid? Will my dreams, will my lifestyle continue for my family? Will my family's lifestyle continue if I'm not there? And I remember, again, if I'm predicated on more than just my income for my family or more than just me for my business, I have partners or I'm married, then I got to look at it differently, because then I have two people that are responsible for beneficiaries and survivors. So I want to be able to always come through these questions. What will happen today? What about my income needs? What about my household living expenses? What about additional child care? And believe you me, that's a big one in our time today. Educational expenses. Do I have any lump sum needs for liquidity they're going to need right away if I'm not there? And one of those could be, I just want to pay off my mortgage. Final expenses, funeral costs, last medical bills, and mortgage payoff or debt reduction, as I mentioned. And one final question. If you died today, would your plan be ready? So what we're doing is we're walking through a basic understanding of the needs for responsible planning. Now, choosing the financial planning team, again, I talked about this generically, but somebody's going to need to be the captain of the team. Some people let their accountants do this, or their CPAs. Some of them in businesses have their own financial accountants inside their practice. The captain of the team, of course, I'd like to be the captain of the team, because then I can hire the people I like. I have created, and you may want to do this too, I've created a study group where I have people in my study group are experts in their field. So every time I want to talk about securities, I have somebody that knows that cold. If I want to talk about taxation, I have a CPA, a person that knows that and understands it. If I'm looking for a state attorney for documents, I have that person. So what I've tried to do is I put together a super team, a kind of an all-star team that I can use with my clients, but I still want to be the quarterback. I want to captain, and I want to be the liaison between these other planners. Now, sometimes I'll actually farm out financial planning to a registered investment advisor who actually does fee-based planning for a living. He doesn't do products. He's only there to create a plan. We figure out what the billable hours are going to be on that, or a flat fee, and he will go ahead and he'll actually build out a plan. It may be my responsibility to bring product fulfillment to the table. And part of that, of course, as we're talking today, is life insurance. So when I want to be able to create a team where my team members see the value of life insurance as indemnification, the value of life insurance as an income supplemental retirement kind of option, as well as inheritance or transfer or estate taxes. I want people that are already given, understand what I'm doing, so that they don't have rifts within the team. So everybody has to, if they're on my team, and it is my team, I want to make sure that the people I choose to be on my team, or in my case, my study group, all believe in what I'm talking about. The last thing you want to do is put somebody in front of your client who doesn't believe in anything that you're doing. So when I look at investment specialists, I'm looking for people, and it can be a person that outsources their money to outside vendors, because most of us don't have the kind of time to really sit down and actually allocate and reallocate and balance funds all the time. So a lot of people send that out. But I need somebody that really understands this issue and this area, especially on my client's risk. We're doing risk aversion. We're trying to protect our client, talking about life insurance. I need to make sure my investment advisor or my investment specialist also has those ideas of what my client's risk tolerance is. And later on in the week, I'm actually going to use a risk tolerance page, which of course you can have absolutely free. All you have to do is write me the biz at brokersalliance.com, and I'll send it to you. I need a tax professional. Life insurance has many tax advantages. It has several tax favored ideas. I need somebody that actually understands a 1040, my accountant, and understands the tax leverage or the tax advantage I have with life insurance. So I want to be able to pick somebody out that's really a gun in this. And if I'm the life insurance professional, remember, I have to know my product lines. And a couple weeks from now, we're going to get into all the product lines, all the policy provisions, the difference between current company practice and contractual guarantee. We're going to talk about all the riders and the different forms that you can use life insurance in. It's really quite amazing. When you're choosing it, I'm going to need a property casualty agent. Well, remember, I have a home, I have an auto, I use an umbrella policy to protect myself. I outsource that to my property casualty agent. My property casualty agent can also add on all the other accoutrements, like maybe I have a boat, extra cars, maybe I have an RV, or the kind of recreational vehicles that you'll want to include. He absolutely is vital when I'm putting together a plan, and when I'm putting a risk management plan together or a risk management team together, I definitely want a top-of-the-line property casualty agent who really knows his stuff and has the ability to go out into the market and get whatever he needs to help my client out. Then I need a health and disability specialist. I must say, with everything that's going on right now with healthcare, this is critical because I need somebody that actually knows what may happen, what's happening today, and to see if I can muddle through until we know what's going to happen after the Supreme Court ruling. Interestingly enough, DI is a huge issue, and every May we always front disability insurance. It's disability month in May. When I show this, it's interesting. Most people protect their home with a property casualty agent. A lot of people actually buy at least a minimum of term on their lives to protect themselves so their families can move forward if something happens to them. I hardly ever see anybody use disability insurance, and I don't know why. It's really paycheck protection. And why wouldn't you want to put that on there? Whether you're a company, you have a key person, a rainmaker, a person that you want to really keep inside, or you're recruiting to your business, you'll definitely want some kind of disability insurance, paycheck protection. And to me, a DI specialist, there are not that many around, and the one that's in my study group is an expert, and she's been on several of my shows before. You really need a DI expert to go along with your medical. So I'm looking for morbidity agents that understand this code. You may want to start to partner with an estate planning attorney, because when you get into life insurance, you may be using terms like a will, or an irrevocable trust, or a revocable trust. You may have to use beneficiary papers and crummy powers, hanging powers, all these things your attorney understands and has the documents for, so that you can position your client for the best transfer possible in estate planning. It's critical to have a very good estate planning attorney, somebody on your team that has a good reputation, that plays ball with you as a life insurance agent and a producer, and understands the needs that you have as an agent and your clientele. Trust administration. A lot of people you can use your family, you can use a bank, you can use attorneys. You got to find somebody that will execute the trust. Once you've passed, you've given as the grantor the ability for the trustee to go ahead and run whatever that trust is. It could be, again, a will, it could be your irrevocable trust, a revocable trust. Any of these things, you want to choose somebody that you trust. And sometimes it's a third party, bank officer, many banks have trusts, or an attorney that just works in the area of tax and estate and probate. Whatever you want to do, you want to select somebody. And again, you can have somebody like, I might choose one of my children who's really good at this. I think it will be equitable. But a lot of times, if you have many children and beneficiaries involved, they kind of like to outsource that, so there's no quibbling or kind of special treatment by the trustee being one of the fellow beneficiaries. And lastly, planned giving specialist. We are getting more and more into this because of the philanthropy in the United States. We are the most giving nation in the world by far. And we like to give to our charities. And sometimes, even if we have small wallets and big hearts, we can use life insurance to actually leverage whatever our annual gift is and to make it 4 to 5 times that amount. It's a huge issue. Planned giving specialist, again, here's another area where you could actually build out your practice if you wanted to become this, because that is a very small niche, but it's a niche that I find is really huge because people have targeted beneficiaries, IRS approved nonprofits, and they really want to be able to give to that and to see that institution or organization go forward. So my last guy on the team, a planned giving specialist, a person to help me with my charitable giving. Well, that's what I've done. I pretty much set up my team, chosen my team to bring together and to have a good overall idea so that I can come to my client and say, here's our team and we're ready to fulfill your planning needs.
This has been an EduTrainment Workshop, the educational division of the National Insurance Clearinghouse, the marketing arm of Brokers Alliance. and sponsored by Lincoln Benefit Life, an Allstate company.